we'll do just a quick introduction to the topic. I've learned to be a little less wordy in these, so it'll only be maybe less than 10 minutes probably. And I've got a short video to show you. Then we'll do a meditation, about 15, 20 minutes, and then we'll go into breakout rooms, which will be about 30 minutes. And if I've timed things well enough and not gotten too wordy here in the beginning, we'll have plenty of time for a Q&A and for sharing at the end. And then we'll end about an hour and a half from now. And so that's how we'll organize it. So you probably saw from the last email I sent what the topic was going to be. And I think it's fair to say that most of us were attracted to meditation with the idea in mind that certain things were going to get better. Maybe we'd feel calmer, less overwhelmed, or maybe we have some sort of spiritual experience or just be more effective or live more fully. We had our reasons for joining. And those are kind of the carrots that motivate us to practice. And a sincere meditation practice can give us those things. Those things can happen, but they don't happen. It isn't like a uniform state, a state that never leaves, where you just feel peaceful all the time, everything's working. That's just not life. And if we think there's a final enlightenment and final destination where everything's going to be peaceful all the time, we're going to be disappointed, because nobody, not even the most enlightened of us, reaches a final resting spot where everything's peaceful all the time. Maybe not until you're dead, but we don't know about that either. You may have points of view about that, but we don't know. And while there isn't a point in which everything's finally exactly the way you want it to be and stays that way, at some point, we might discover with some patience and continued practice, and maybe some of you noticed this already, sounds paradoxical, but that it's actually possible to be at peace with not feeling peaceful. And that doesn't mean that you sit back and do nothing about the things you want to change. It just means we are able to change them without fighting with our own experience as we work towards change. And in that way, we're operating from a place of stability and strength rather than anxiety and fear. And there's a saying at the beginning of The Samurai and the Fly, if you remember that video of the cartoon samurai sitting there and the fly is bothering him, he starts slicing at it with his sword, and finally he settles down, but not because the fly stopped, but because he's allowed that into his own experience. And that there's three lines that appear at the start of that video that I really love, because it says this idea so beautifully. First line is simply peace. Second line, it doesn't mean to be in a place where there's no noise, trouble, or hard work. And third line, what it means is to be in the midst of those things and still be calm in your heart. So it's not about eliminating noise or trouble or crises in our life. It'd be wonderful that just happened permanently, but that's not going to happen. But it means what real peace is being able to have a peace that can coexist with those things. It doesn't mean you don't feel what's going on. It just means there's some place in you, you're large enough so that the things that are going on aren't all of you. So this statement, being at peace with not feeling peaceful, it sounds paradoxical, and it is. Linguistically, it's a dialectic. That means holding two simultaneously holding two seemingly contradictory points of view at the same time. Some of you might be old enough to remember TA, transactional analysis, and there's a saying at its heart, it's I'm okay and you're okay. But I like better than that, a restatement of it, which is I'm not okay, you're not okay, and that's okay. That's a dialectic. And I was reminded in thinking about this, the fact that these are dialectics is Marsha Linehan's dialectic behavior therapy. It's right in the name. And she called it, she created DBT initially to treat suicidal clients. And this is something she had personal experience with when she was herself a teenager. She was hospitalized for 2 years. and her life was reduced to a self-destructive cycle of burning, cutting, headbanging, suicide attempts. The hospital psychologist described her as the most incurable patient they'd ever seen. And she was just discharged unceremoniously without being cured of this, at least at that moment. And somehow she emerged from those years and became a clinical psychologist herself, partly to understand what had happened to her. And she eventually developed dialectic behavior therapy to help people like herself. And the cover page of her memoir, and that's this Building a Better Life Worth Living. And it's a beautiful memoir. And in the fly page of it, I don't know if you can read this, but if I can do it, you can do it. And that's with the premise of her work. And the dialectic in her therapy are the two opposing simultaneous thoughts are: you are okay exactly as you are. You don't need to change to be loved. That's the first. And the second is you need to change. Remember, she's working primarily with people who are dealing with suicidal ideation. And the trick is to hold those two things together. She knew that her clients needed to know that they were accepted just as they were, and she did. That's the point of view she had. She was one of them at one time. But at the same time, her therapy is one of the most involved therapies I'd ever known, maybe the most involved. It's a rigorous set of group meetings and practices which are designed to change behavior and thought patterns, and yet she could accept these people one at the same time. The magic is between those two propositions. They sound paradoxical, but it's holding them both. First, accepting yourself and others exactly as they are, and ourselves, and recognizing the need for change. Too much focus on the first, and then you do nothing because everything's okay, right? Too much focus on the second, it can result in a self-abusive improvement project that's harsh and inflexible, not really ultimately successful at bringing peace, actually not peaceful at all. So it's finding that place between the two. Carl Rogers had another way of saying this. He says, the curious paradox is that when I accept myself just as I am, then I can change. And there's a similar dialectic at work in some spiritual disciplines. You often hear something similar in Zen. The first being, you're perfect just as you are, nowhere to go, nothing to do. You've probably heard that before. Jon Kabat-Zinn says that. In fact, it's the title of one of his books. Wherever you go, there you are. He said he had misnamed that book. He said it shouldn't have been wherever you go, there you are. It should have been wherever you go, here you are. So that's the first dialectic in practice, is you're perfect and just as you are, and everything else is too. But the second part is spiritual growth is the result of dedicated practice. You need to practice to understand and appreciate and realize that perfection, to understand that perfection that's already there. Or Suzuki used to say, once his students made a comment about him asking, they do certain things, and he says, yes, you're perfect just as you are, and there's still room for improvement. So I love also the way Jack Kornfield describes this dialectic. It's good to remember that you have Buddha nature. That is, everything you include, everything is perfect the way it is, you included, but don't forget your zip code. You have a place in the world, and there's work to do here and now. And the art is holding both at the same time. So I want to show you, I've edited down the longer 1 hour video of Jack Kornfield where he mentions this idea of Buddha nature and zip code. I love it so much that I'm going to share it with you. It's just 5 minutes, and if I can set this up, I'll share that with you. Find the right screen. That should be this one.
But it's not about fixing or doing or making. It's really about being in the presence of this mystery into which we are born and meeting it with an open heart, beginner's mind. Because when we do, then something of beauty comes out of us. It wants to come out of us. And part of what's mysterious and why a place like Spirit Rock or wherever you find as a sanctuary is important is that there are two dimensions to our being. In the Buddhist tradition, they're talked about the two truths, sometimes the relative and absolute, which is a very bad translation. The universal and the personal is a much better translation. And what it means is that you have to remember your Buddha nature and your zip code. And if you forget either one, you're in trouble. I mean, you do need to know your social security number, and you have to drive on the right-hand side of the road, and you have to engage in the world, and it's part of living your incarnation, to do it and do it with some dignity and elan and ease and, you know, fall down the well and get in the dungeons and do that and pick yourself back up, but make something in the world. You have to do that. But you can't make anything of value if you forget your Buddha nature. If you forget who you really are and what you have to offer this world. In another culture, in another mythological language, it's called the two agreements. That when you're born and you come into this world, you come with a purpose, or with a gift, if you will, with something that's uniquely yours to bring into this world, and no one has ever brought the gifts of your particular life and being into this world before. And then you look around and you say, wow, I got this family, right, and this neighborhood, and this culture, and this country, and so forth. And you realize you sort of have to negotiate a lot of agreements with them, what kind of a child you'll be, and you know how you deal with the school or the economic system and so forth. Those are all called the second agreement. And you have to find your way through those. You can't not do it. But they're not the first agreement. The first agreement is the agreement of the spirit or the soul or whatever language you want to use that comes into this world with some gift to give, something to do. And if you do all those other second agreement things, you know, and get it all together outwardly and forget the first one, you're not happy, you're not satisfied, you're not fulfilled. It's as if the king or queen has given you this great errand to do, and you go across the seas and you go to this other kingdom and you find all these people and adventures and do all these things, and you forget the main errand that you went to do, and then you come back and they say, well, did you do it? And in some way you have a great errand as a human being on the earth, and as a unique human being with your particular beauty and gifts and wisdom and compassion and understanding. This is your Buddha nature, to bring it out in some fashion. And without that, you won't be happy. And when you come to meditate, the line from Rumi, he writes, pay regular visits to yourself. I mean, it's that simple. And meditation isn't about getting some state. Okay, I'm going to sit and breathe and open the chakras and raise the kundalini and have this light and, you know, open this and have this fabulous vision, and then open like this guy and hold it. Okay, I got it. Fantastic. But after a while, you know, you get stuck even there. You have to breathe. Okay, it opens and it closes. And my teacher Ajahn Chah said, if you haven't wept deeply, you probably haven't really learned to meditate yet. Doesn't mean that everyone has to weep all the time, but we carry the tears of the world with us. We do. And we carry the love of the world with us. And the tears need to be wept and the love needs to be felt. Not for anybody else, and not because you need to do it, that's not quite the right word, but because the soul needs to do it, the heart, the spirit, in order to fulfill the gift that you've been given of your life, and to bring something beautiful into this world. So you sit in meditation, and instead of stopping the feelings and thoughts and so forth, you bow to each one. Oh yes, this too. And you step out of the body of fear, the small sense of self, and become the ground, the temple, the sanctuary yourself, the guest house, and say, oh yes, you too, and you too. And here I am, like the Buddha, under the tree of enlightenment, saying, yes, this too. And here I am, still heart open with compassion in the midst of it all.
Okay, so that's one of my favorite clips. Glad I could share it with you. By the way, for the references I saw somebody put up the name of Marshall Linhan's book. Thanks, and that and some of the things that we're talking about here today, I put up in this link that I just put in chat. We're going to go into a meditation now, and so if you just want to make yourself comfortable, you don't need to make a drastic change in your position, just making sure you're comfortable where you're sitting. And just taking a moment just to sense into where you are right now, physically and emotionally, mentally. Paying particular attention to physical sensations, how your feet are on the floor or the ground. The weight of your body is supported by the chair or couch or whatever it is you're sitting on, and actually supported by the earth. Feeling the sensations that your body is giving you. Feeling how your arms are at your side or in your lap. And noticing that your awareness of your body, it's actually a two-way process. You're receiving sensations from your body, but at the same time, you're reaching out to your body, checking in with it. Are things okay? What am I sensing here in my feet, in my seat, in my arms? Paying attention to body in a way you don't usually do. There's reaching out to your own sensations. In a way, presenting a gentle hand of awareness to body sensation. So we don't usually pay much attention to our body unless there's alarms going off. And when you're ready, bring your awareness to breath, the actual movement of breathing, where you can sense it most vividly. Could be in your belly or your chest, or the movement of air through your nostrils. Letting your relationship with your breath just be one of a gentle observer. You're not needing to control your breath. You're breathing just fine. You can actually let it be just how it is. Doesn't need to be slower or faster or different. And seeing if you can be with the entire cycle of breath. It's not just in breath, out breath. It's breathing in, breathing in, breathing in, breathing in. And there's a pause as it goes from breathing in to breathing out, and a pause when it goes from breathing out to breathing in. And it can be kind of a revelation that you don't need to control it. And if you are controlling a little bit, just let that be too. And if your attention goes elsewhere into analysis of what we're doing or some thought about something in the past or something that's going to happen later, Just letting that be too. You're not controlling that either. But when you notice that, just gently but firmly come back to breath. And it's allowing that to be, because the things that your mind goes to are things that are important to you, and it's good to notice them, but also notice that you can come back to breathing and sensations of breath. And seeing if you can be aware of the entire cycle, all parts of breath, where it changes, where it's moving from through the in-breath or the out-breath, where it changes again. You don't need to be too rigid about this, just noticing and letting that be home base, a place you come back to. And noticing that your breath connects you with the outside world. Every breath you take in is, in a way, an out breath of the universe. You're breathing in what the trees and the plants have left you in terms of oxygen, and you're breathing out the carbon dioxide that they need. So, in a way, your in breath is the universe's out breath. Your out breath is the universe's in breath. You're intimately connected. If you were to disconnect yourself from the universe, you wouldn't last for very long because we need the breathing. We need that connection. We have that connection. Kind of another dialectic, both separate and not separate. You have your sense of yourself as being distinct from other people and the rest of the world, and yet your connection is continuous through breath and through other interactions you have with the world. Next 5 or 6 minutes will be in silence, and you can continue with the breath meditation or make it whatever kind of meditation you'd like it to be. This is your time, and I'll call you back with the sound of my voice after about 5 or 6 minutes. And as we end the meditation, just taking a few breaths together. And when you're ready, opening your eyes and taking in me and the rest of the group. And welcome back. So in a few minutes, we'll be breaking into groups of 4 or 5 people. And Keith, were you able to get everybody in a group? All right, I think everybody's coming back. Looks like we're all back now. There we go. All right, well, welcome back. I hope you had a good session. And by the way, as far as recording goes, we're recording the main part of the meeting. Nothing in the breakout rooms got recorded. It's designed that way under Zoom. When we go into the sharing, which we're going to do here now in just a moment, that's going to be recorded too. So if you're sharing and there's something and you would rather not have that be part of the recorded video, then let me know by email or by chat. But safest is by email. Sometimes I miss what's in chat. But let me know by email that you would rather not have your sharing shared. You can do that after the meeting because it'll take me a day or two to put the video together. So now's the time when we can share, and also time for Q&A. And if you would like to share something or ask a question, you can raise your hand. I see we have one hand raised already.
Shall we take Tanya, if you could?
Yeah, let's start with Tanya had her hand raised first, so let's start with her.
Thank you. I was muted. I apologize. I
There you are.
appreciate it. Thank you. I couldn't unmute, but thank you. First of all, I want to thank you. It's such a pleasure to meet you again. And I wanted to just share something. I don't know how to get myself off the picture, but
Well, I think you're going to be on the picture. That's
oh, how embarrassing.
You
I'm
can
not great
change
on
it to
the computer.
gallery if you like. If you
Oh,
don't
sorry,
want
I'm
to
so
see
stupid.
yourself.
Okay, sorry. I wanted to share two things. I was in a horrific car accident on visiting
Ooh.
my stepmother. And then I shared with a friend who invited me for the Sabbath. I shared about Palouse because she heard about I told them that the
Uh-huh.
reason I have a new car is I was in a car accident. But what I wanted to share is I told her about Palouse and she's joining with a friend. And what I shared is you're healing towards pain that I don't know if I said it correctly. It really helped because my knee moved over. I shared this in my
Mm.
group and my rotator cuff is broken. And I thought I'm in a lot of pain. But I thought, no, I'm not in a lot of pain. That part of my body
Huh,
hurts. And that
interesting.
helped. And I wanted to tell you, I decided to join DBT, not knowing we are talking about this, because my body's had some issues where, I'm deaf and I like the closed caption. So when you shared that, it was so funny. And I took my daughter to David Guillaume, who I follow, and I don't like to talk politics. He talked about the Nova survivors came and they shared that they became more spiritual, not religious. And I just have so much appreciation for you. I shared with so many people there about you, Dave. I hope I can call you Dave in your course
Of
because
course. Yeah.
thank you. My daughter said to me when I was in pain, she said, Mom, Ema, she goes, you should meditate because it really helps. And so I
Yeah,
want to thank you.
you're quite welcome. And it's so interesting that you're able to notice that it's not all of you that's in pain, but just that part of you. That's a huge shift in perception.
But that's because of you and your course. I probably, when I've had other ailments or horrible things, but because of your gift, I wake up every morning with a little bit of meditation because it's because of you, Dave. Thank you. for my
Well, you're
birthday.
quite welcome. Well, I didn't invent all this on my own. I had my own teachers, and that's for me. That's one of the most valuable learnings too. Is that it's when something happens and something's painful, all of your attention goes there. We're designed that way to have all our attention go there, and yet it's possible to open up. So it's just part of you and not all of you. That is just a huge shift in understandings. That's great. So thanks, Tanya. And Keith, I don't know if you can get both me and Tanya up at the same time. I wanted to experiment with that. That makes it
The
work.
next one I will do it correctly.
Okay.
Sorry.
Let's just try it now so we can make sure that works. Just spotlight me.
Let's
I'm
see.
sorry I couldn't unmute myself, but I really appreciate you sharing this. And I bought the meditation but mindful eating this book, and
Uh-huh.
it's changed my life and my
Mm-hmm.
kids and my students, my special ed students.
Thanks,
I am
Keith.
teaching them stop because they're special ed in an
Yes,
inclusive
right.
class. So besides Zumba, I've taught them when they're blah, 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 I said it in Hebrew, but I don't know how to translate it now because I'm nervous. But I said we're going to l'shaher. Oh, I guess I do know the Hebrew. We're going to stop l'shaher, tafsik to stop, observe
Mhm.
l'stakel, the proceed la'lechet. So I said that to them, and it's a tool I'm
Nice.
sharing with my school. And again, thank you.
And I love how you're doing that because you don't need to set yourself up as a mindfulness teacher to share what you've learned. I think that's important for people to know. Sometimes people think that they have to get a certificate and be certified to teach mindfulness in order to use it, but you don't. And you don't have to and as a matter of fact, if it's had any effect in your life at all, it will be shared because you've changed. That will just happen. So thanks so much for sharing that. And thanks, Keith, for figuring out the spotlight thing so we can see both of us on the screen.
And
Dave.
now you'll be off the screen, Tanya.
Can you mute me again? Because I don't know how.
I will mute you, yes.
Okay, and thank you, Keith and Dave. Thank you, Dave.
So let's go to Bobby Joe. If you
Okay.
mute.
Hello, can you hear me?
I can hear you fine. Yes.
Beautiful. Hello from Canada.
Hi. What part of Canada?
Just really Espanola,
Espanola. And what province is that?
Ontario.
Ontario. Okay.
So we are the only road access to the largest freshwater island in the world,
Wow.
which is Manitoulin Island.
I'll have to look that up because I don't know
You
that part of
need to.
Ontario.
It's beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a great place to be. It's the largest freshwater island in the world. It's a beautiful place to be. Yeah.
Wow. Well,
Population of my town is 5,000 people.
so smaller than us here.
I'm not sure.
Well, we're 20,000 here.
Oh goodness. Yeah, no. We're
And
5,000.
my daughter, when she was very young, we asked her if she ever thought about where she'd like to wind up. She said, well, not in Moscow. I said, why, too small? She said, no, too big.
Oh,
She now lives in a town that has 200 people in it.
I love that. I'm a very small town girl. I was born in
Yeah.
Wawa, Ontario, which
Uh-huh.
is the big goose, whatever. Anyway, so what I wanted to tell you about this is I started taking this course because I graduated from the Addictions and Mental Health program. And during my placement, my supervisor said, you know what, during your placement, we want you to do the Palouse.
Oh, huh.
Yeah. And so they gave me the book. I have your whole book. I've got everything. So it was, and I like, this is in Espanola. So they recommended this. This is why I'm doing this. And I want to tell you how much I appreciate everything. Anyway, I will say one thing that I've learned so much about this is that one statement that you have said in your notes and everything is, it's not just about human being. It's about being while you're human.
I like that. Yeah. Being while you're
Yeah.
human.
So I've got goosebumps from that, Dr. Palouse, because I just think it's beautiful because I work as Ontario Works is something that, so people who are homeless, um, needing funding, financial assistance, or housing, or some people don't do their income taxes, so then they don't get any of the Trillium Fund or the Ontario tax benefit or any of that stuff. Anyway, so if they don't do their income taxes, then they don't get any of that. So
Yeah.
yeah, so that's what my job is, and I love it. I love it dearly. So taking this course is really it's helping me a lot, because I love also when it's been said that, like, I'm not okay, like I'm not okay. You know what? One of my first lines is, it's okay not to be okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Join the club.
It just calms me just by saying it. Like, it's okay not to be okay, right? So and I love the being while you're human. It's not just about human being, it's about being while you're human. And
Yeah.
I'll say one more quick thing is that today when I was walking, because we've got beautiful areas to walk anyway. So I walk barefoot, and we've got a lot of fall leaves falling and all that. It's just, and they're crunchy and it's gorgeous. And I heard a leaf fall from a tree, and I heard it fall, one single leaf.
Oh.
And I saw it and I heard it hit the ground just with that silence. And that's when I realized, don't just be being, like, be in the present and appreciate those really, really, really small things, because sometimes in life, those small things don't get recognized.
Right.
And I really think that really makes a big difference in people's lives, because I think we're focusing on the past and what's going to happen tomorrow, but let's be present in the moment and just really appreciate those really, really, really small things. So anyway,
Yeah,
I
that's beautiful. And that image of hearing a leaf fall, I mean, that's,
really did.
I mean,
Yeah,
just your saying of it, that's magical, isn't it?
it was.
You
Yeah.
know?
So I want to
And-
thank you for that, because I've learned this through your beautiful teachings and the videos and everything. Like, you really got a lot of good insight on things, and I'm grateful from Canada that this was recommended to me through my placement for my addictions and mental health worker program. So I want to just express to you that I appreciate what you're teaching. So thank you for that.
And it warms my heart to know that it's found its way into this work that's so important, the work that you're doing.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. Thanks, Bobby Joe. And I saw somebody had put in chat, I don't often pay attention to chat, I get just too distracted. But the book that Bobby Joe was talking about was not a book I wrote, because I haven't written a book, but it probably was the manual you can create from the website. I'm pretty sure that's what she was talking about.
And now we have, I'm sorry, my pronunciation of your name, Alfria.
Friye, I don't know. We'll find out in a second here.
You could unmute.
Yes, it's Afriye.
Friye. Thanks.
Afriye. I'm so blessed to be here. It's such an honor. Thank you so much for what you've done and everything that you've done. I'm a bit tongue-tied because I almost
Well,
forgot.
It's
But
nice
you
to
were
have you
having
here.
this.
Yeah. And
almost
Friye,
forgot.
where are you signing in from? Where are you right now?
I'm in London, the UK.
Aha,
That's
okay.
where I am. Yeah. So yes, it's even over across these waters. Yeah, I just have a question, if I may indulge.
Sure.
I love all the information. It's so varied, it's so on point, so very detailed, a lot of what's up there. But I noticed that a lot of the information is quite, it's not as recent. And it does go back, like some of the videos goes back to maybe 10 years, 15
Yes,
years.
true. Yeah.
I just wanted to know, where can I find more updated information, particularly the the research and the scientific stuff.
Yeah, research, we've done a little bit better for research than it was. If you look in the research page, I think we redid that page in a couple of years ago. So it's not, that's, some of the research was really old. It was like 30 years old.
Wow.
And now it's maybe 4 or 5 years old, and some of it older than that, because it's kind of important research that stuck with us. But we do the best we can in updating the site, but there's so much on the site that it would be a lot to update it all. But there are just thousands and thousands of resources on the web if you just do a search for mindfulness. And one of the things that we've tried to do with the website is to kind of assess what's out there and give you the stuff that we think is the most accurate and relevant to you. So, but it's hard to keep up with that much. We've got several hundred pages of information on the website.
Yeah. And you don't know which is credible. I mean, that, I really follow what Palouse is doing, and I feel that Palouse is very much so in, avant-garde with all of this. John.
I think of myself less as a teacher and more as a curator of information. Is the information that's there, but it's so hard to keep up because there's so much information that comes out, and some of the videos are quite dated, but the research page, at least that one's a little more up to date than some of the videos are.
Yeah, and I love when you mentioned about, like, you don't have to, you can be a facilitator or you can be a teacher, but you don't have to necessarily have a certificate. It's endearing for you to just pass on this knowledge. And
and it's, if you're doing it from where you are in terms of your own work, then it's going to be more authentic than if you try to call yourself a mindfulness teacher anyway. I think that kind of in a way, it's kind of a handicap's the wrong word for it, but when people start calling themselves mindfulness teacher, it kind of takes them away from where their real strengths and where their home base is. So we like to encourage people to bring it into where they're working, and we, in fact, when somebody contacts us and say, this is what I want to do, I'm going to quit my job and I'm going to become a mindfulness teacher, we say, no, wait, stop, don't do that. Because almost nobody makes a living doing this. There are a few, Tara Brach and others make a good living doing this kind of work, but the best way to relay what you've learned is in your own context, where you're working now, who your colleagues are now, where your workplace is, your family, your friends. That's the way for it to be heard, not to make yourself a mindfulness teacher.
Yeah, that sounds, less limiting. I think you limit yourself when you call yourself a teacher, because we're always learning. We are always learning.
Yeah, all of us. Yeah. And it's in this way it makes it more authentic. Then it's you. It's not you putting on some other mantle that makes you different than you are. It's you expressing what you're passionate about, what your work is, through your own understanding of mindfulness, not through some certification. Yeah, so thanks for that clarification.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Next on the list is Andre, and I've never spotlighted someone that, oh, there you are. Okay, I will spotlight your,
Yeah,
there we go.
yeah, I'm not, anyway, hi.
There you are.
Yeah, so much. This was really wonderful. I started this back in like April of this year, and then maybe March, anyway, and then I had some problems and I stopped doing it and I'm back again. But this kind of came up in our breakout group. Some of us, I won't name names, but some of us have trouble when we started this sitting for more than 5 or 10 minutes.
Yeah,
and without my internet might crash now, but how do we, build up to it? Because if I do it at night before I go to bed, I fall asleep.
Yeah.
And I could do it in the morning. But how do we just like build up to the maybe 20 or 30 minutes a day, and with dealing with the racing mind and all
Yeah,
that.
yeah. Well,
is-
that is a great question, and
Yeah,
and
thanks.
we're going to stay and answer that. But I wanted to let people know that I recognize now we're more than 90 minutes. So after yours, we're going to formally end the meeting, and those that are waiting, like Lee and Susie, and we can. I will keep the meeting open so that they have a chance to talk. But for the sake of the others, in a few minutes after we end with you, Andrea, we'll formally close the meeting, but I'll leave the room open for others. So about that question, it's a great question. I mean, what we say is, we kind of think that we need to meditate for a certain amount of time for it to be helpful. When we think we want it to be a longer meditation. But what we say is any amount of meditation is helpful. So if you do it just for 5, that's 5 more minutes than you would have had otherwise. And the longer period of time, so if I can ask, Andrea, is it that it's harder to sit for longer because you don't have the time, or is it because it's just frustrating to be dealing with all these things that come up in your mind? Now you're muted, so let me.
I shouldn't have done that. Anyway, so for me, like, what was the question again? I got
The question
distracted.
is it hard to get to a longer meditation? You want to do a longer meditation, but it's hard to do that. Is it because it's hard to sit for that long because your mind gets so crazy? Or is it that you just don't have the time? You got to be somewhere in a few minutes.
It's kind of a combination of all three things. And I also find that when I do a meditation with a mantra or a breathing meditation, I could do it a little longer, but it's mostly that my mind starts to wander,
Yeah,
and I just start to go off into my things I need to do or things I should have done, or, just the wandering mind, the monkey mind, I guess is what
yeah.
some people
Well,
call it.
the monkey mind is a fact. We all have it. And to the degree that we're fighting it is what makes meditation difficult. Is what your mind comes up with, the things you have to do and the things that are going on, that's actually what's important to you, right? It's not random things, not just random things. So that is part of the meditation. It's you letting you know what's important. And at the same time, that can happen. And if you're doing a breath meditation, you can come back to breath. And if that keeps happening, then that's an indication how important it is to you. But at those moments where you find yourself, your mind wandering, here's something that I don't know quite how to make it happen for you, but to the degree you can be kinder to yourself when that happens, that will help. So when you catch yourself, your mind wandering, recognize that when you catch yourself, that's actually a moment of waking up. It's not, at that moment, your mind is not wandering. At that moment, you're recognizing your mind is wandering. That's a moment of wakefulness. So Andrea, that's a moment for celebration. Say, I've awakened again. And then you can come back to breath or come back to something else. But there's nothing wrong with the mind wandering. That is what we do. And the most important part of it is just how you treat yourself when that happens. It's like the Jack Kornfield talks about a puppy dog. If you're going to train a puppy dog to fetch, you throw a stick and he doesn't pick it up, and you throw a stick and he doesn't pick it up, and throw a stick and he doesn't pick it up, and then he finally picks it up and brings it back to you. What do? You say, "Good boy." Good. So we need to learn that for ourselves. Is those times when you notice your mind wandering, that's a moment of wakefulness. And it does 2 things. One, you have a conscious moment where you recognize you were onto something that was important to you, or you wouldn't have come up, and you can just kind of log that and put that aside for a moment. But knowing that it's important and it's kind of registered in some way, you will get back to it in a way that allows you to do something about it. And if at night you're falling asleep, you probably need the sleep.
Yeah.
So, some people have trouble falling asleep, so be thankful you can fall asleep.
Yeah.
And so don't worry so much about the falling asleep.
Okay. Thank you so much. That was beautiful. Thank you.
You're
Thank you
welcome,
very much.
Andrea. I'm glad that was helpful.
Thanks.
And now we're past our 90 minutes, so I'm gonna keep the meeting room open for I see that Lee, who was here, isn't here anymore, but I'll keep it open for a little while afterwards. But let's take this time to say goodbye and allow people who need to leave to leave so we can honor their time. So what I suggest you do is take your screen and open it up to gallery view so you can see everybody. And then we'll say our goodbyes. And how you can do this is as you say goodbye, it'll be a little bit noisy for a bit. Just take yourself off mute and just say goodbye, arrivederci, whatever you want to say. And that'll be our closing. And I'll stick around. We'll have another one of these I think it'll probably be in January. I'm trying to do them every 3 or 4 times a year. That'll probably be the next one. Got a lot of travel coming up for Lauren and I in the next couple of months. So hopefully I'll see you then. Thanks for being here. It's been wonderful being with you, and I'll see you next time. All right, and this always tends to happen, and we have everybody says goodbye that needs to say goodbye, and then people just stay to see if anything's going to happen afterwards. And that's fine too. So I see a couple of hands up. Susie, you've had your hand up for a while. So maybe Keith, you could spotlight her, and if you want to come back to
I'm trying.
Okay, no worries. Susie, you can start. We can hear you if you take yourself off mute.
Can everybody try to unmute now?
There you go.
Yes, now, okay. I wanted to tell you thank you so much for all you've done. This program is wonderful, and I particularly wanted to say how much I enjoy the several times daily group meditations. They're wonderful. The leaders are fantastic, and I've met such wonderful people through it, and they've been really supportive, and it's great to hear everybody's sharing, and today also. So thank you so much.
You're welcome, and I feel so lucky that we've been able to get such fine people to host those sessions.
Yes.
And when we first began that, we didn't know if we'd be able to have more than a couple, because it's a commitment. The people who guide those sessions are it's every week for them, and that's a commitment. And it's just so wonderful to have them and have them be another reflection of what this is about. So there's some live component of things.
Yes, and they often share a video or a recording or something from their hearts, and the groups are just fantastic. They really make my week.
Good.
So I
Yeah.
try to go most
And
days.
they're very skilled at making it your group, because it really isn't. We tell them this is not about them being teachers. It's not about them being teachers at all. It's about them creating a space where people can share. That's really what it's about.
Yes, they do an excellent job with it.
Yeah.
Thank
Thanks, Susie. Thanks for your patience.
No, it's been great.
Okay, now I have the unmute corrected, so everybody should be able to unmute, and so let's go to is your first name Zoom or it says name? Sorry, but if you could go ahead and unmute.
There you go.
Hi, Dave. We already met by accident
Yeah.
today. Yeah, sorry. And I'm normally, a Zoom user. As you can see, I have to put my name into it. So my name is Daniela Hansen, and I finished your course in May this year. I was very lucky to find it, and I've even shared that in a group, and we all shared that together. It's not like you find the course because you're actually really looking for that course, because I think it's like sometimes with books, they find you, and that was the same experience I had with your course. So I checked on the deep acknowledgement you give there, and maybe becoming a teacher or whatever when you read these further lines. And now I'm a little nervous because I don't want to become a mindfulness teacher and stop my job, but I'm in charge for over 20 people in a job, and I really like to work with them on a human being wise side, connect with them. So first of all, I'm signed up now for a 5-day silent retreat. And I wonder if because it's my first, I do meditate, but I do that alone. I never have been in a silent retreat. I'm not so much worried about being silent, but in a group, experiencing all that and staying with me, and maybe not connect too much with the others, because I think I'm a high empath, and that is sometimes difficult for me to be focused within me. And if there's a piece of advice for a greenhorn having this experience the first time, and maybe a kind of advice what I should look for to find out if I could be able to become a mindfulness teacher to use that.
And thanks for bringing up that thought. I don't want to discourage somebody from taking that as a vocation. I just wanted to have them not have too high an expectation to make a living at it, because it's very difficult to have that be the source of income. But the training that's available for increasing your knowledge and your teaching ability is wonderful training. But it's a lot, in terms of time and in terms of money. But if that's the direction you feel yourself pulled to go, then I'd encourage you to do that. And about a retreat, 5-day retreat, it's a lot. Have you done a silent retreat before, a shorter one than 5 days?
No,
Okay.
all in, Dave.
I hear that. And I didn't catch your first name.
Daniela. Yeah.
So just be kind to yourself and expect during the 5 days. I can pretty much guarantee you, because it happens to me every time I do a retreat that's longer than a single day, that there's some point during the retreat, probably in that first day or two, where you'll think it was a mistake.
Okay.
You'll say, "Oh my God, nothing is happening. I'm just going, and my mind is just spinning around and nothing is happening here. Maybe it was a mistake to come." Recognize that's part of the experience. That will happen. That's likely to happen. And just stay with it and recognize that that's your mind just jabbering on, because we're not used to this. You're not used to being quiet for that long, or and it is odd. And can you tell me where it is you're doing this retreat? Who is with?
What
kind of retreat is it?
It's the mindfulness retreat with she has just the German name. I have to.
Okay, that's okay. So, but it's a silent retreat. So that is a challenge, and especially the very first few retreats I went to, the longer retreats, more than a day or two, were Zen retreats, and those retreats
it's an MBSR, sorry, and it's Gabi Junkelwitz. I don't know if you know her.
I don't. There are a lot of MBSR.
I guess so. Yeah. Okay.
So it is a little unusual to be in a group setting, especially if you're a high empath like you say you are, because you want to connect with people. And here you are, you have all these wonderful people around you. You can't talk to them. You're not supposed to talk to them, and it feels very odd in the beginning. And I remember the first multi-day retreat I did was a Zen retreat, and I had a roommate. I didn't even know his name until after the 7-day retreat ended.
Okay.
It was over, and I didn't actually like that. That was very weird for me to not be able to have a conversation with this person I'm not in the same bed, but sleeping with in the same room. And that is a little odd, but just be your own, let yourself be your own companion. And I don't know how she sets up her retreats, but often at the end, there's a chance for people to share with each other at the end of the retreat. And sometimes there's, depending on how your MBSR instructors set this up, there are times to share in the middle, but often not. They won't have that. So realize that there'll be those moments where you say, this is not working, and I don't know if I want to be here anymore. I've even been to the point where there was one retreat I can specifically remember. The retreat leader wasn't very experienced. I've been leading retreats for years, and my mind was just awash with judgments. should be doing this, should be doing that. The yoga isn't handled very well, and the breaks, and he's not doing this. And I actually wrote him a note saying I was just going to leave. And I wrote a note. I said, I can't leave. I have to tell him that I'm leaving. And you can't communicate directly with him. So I left a note on the bulletin board for him saying that I was going to be leaving and why. And I put it up like 10:30 at night. Went to bed, and I woke up with a start at midnight and realized that all my judgments weren't a reason for leaving the retreat. That was a reason for staying to stay, because who I was having a problem with wasn't him, it was me. It was my judgments about what he was doing. That's what was making me so uncomfortable. So I ran back to the bulletin board to try to pull it off so he didn't see this.
Yeah.
It was gone. He'd already picked it up between 10:30 and midnight. So I said, "Oh crap! Now I've got to. Not only I'm staying in the retreat. I wasn't going to leave, but now I've got to talk to him about it." And so I did. The next morning, we found a time between meditations, and it blew my mind. He actually did have a deep practice. He just wasn't experienced as a teacher, because it turned out the main teacher had left suddenly with illness, and so he had to take over. He was so gracious, and it just humbled me to be with this person who had such a deep practice, although he wasn't teaching it as practice. And I actually learned more on that retreat than any other retreat I've been on about myself. So be prepared for those moments where you have judgments about things and wonder if things can be better, not liking certain things, especially the silence if you're in the empath that you are. But just stay with it. And if you stay with it, what you'll discover, I can pretty much guarantee that this will happen. I can't say when, that even after all those thoughts, you can have a thought about this is a waste of time and I don't know why I'm doing this and why blah, blah, blah. And then there'll come a moment where you just go, oh.
Okay.
And then you're really there. You go, oh, it's really all right. They're all right. I'm all right. It feels so good to just be here in this moment. And then a few moments later, an hour later, or half a day later, it may happen again. But you recognize that who's creating all of that craziness is you. And not to beat yourself up about it, but you realize you have more control over your own experience than you really realize that you do. Because in a silent retreat like that, nothing around you is changing. You're eating basically the same kinds of meals every time, the same people, the same scenery, and there's nothing to change what's happening. And so when your experience turns negative, where you have all judgments about it, that's not it, it's you. And here's the important point I wanted to make about that. If you stay with it for long enough, it will change. It has to, it will. And it is changed not because you changed your circumstances, because if you stay in the retreat, you're not. You're still following the same schedule you were before. You're not making any kind of specific intervention. It just shifted. And you realize at a deeper level than you could possibly realize it any other way is that you are not directly, your experience is not the result of the circumstances you're in. I'm not saying that very well. Your experience has less to do with the circumstances that you're in and more to do with your evaluation of it. Because nothing is changing, and yet you can go from being despondent and wanting to leave to feeling blissful and happy, and yet nothing has changed. So you recognize that you're less at the mercy of your circumstances. So
So
that would be my advice about it. Be prepared for moments of uncomfortableness. Congratulations to you for jumping in like that, but just stay with it.
So I write the waves, and I will not make any notes within the retreat and hand it to my teacher. This is what I take with me.
That's the lesson, yeah, right? Because you might have to take it down because you realize you need to be there.
Exactly. Great. Thank you.
All right. Well, good luck on the retreat, and thanks for being here today.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, we have Sharada. If you could unmute, please.
Hi, I just wanted to thank you all, thank Dave, Keith, and all the wonderful facilitators in the meditation session. I think it's very valuable and helpful. And I can see Sharis and Nadine right now. So yeah, they're amazing. And I just wanted to show gratitude for this whole program that you've created. It's amazing. Thank you so much.
Well, thanks, Sharada, and thanks for shouting out for Nadine and Charisse. We're really so lucky to have such gifted guides for the hosts for the meetings, and very, very cool. They can share that. So good to have you here, and for all those of you who haven't been to one of the weekly Zoom meetings, I encourage you to give it a try. Showing up once is not an obligation to show up more than once. You can just kind of check it out and see if it feels all right to do that. They're designed to be welcoming, as your experience was. So if you got a little dog there that I'm seeing the top of, what?
Yeah, he's my roommate's dog. Very cute.
Very cute. All right, thanks, Sharada.
Thank you. Bye.
Now we have Rima. If you could unmute, please.
Hi, I'm Rama. I'm joining this meeting from India.
And it must be very late there. What time is it there?
Yes, it's 1:30 in the night.
Oh my gosh.
Yes. Yeah. So it's wonderful to have stumbled literally upon this website, and it's been wonderful. I found this about a month back, and but I'm still stuck in the third week of practice. I've never been able to move on, but hopefully I'll get to the 8th week. I feel like I haven't done enough, and so I keep continuing the same practice.
Well, you know what we say on the website is, we don't just say that to make you feel good. The longer you take is the more you get out of the course. So don't worry about that. But on the other hand, you don't need to be a perfectionist about it either. You don't feel like you have to get everything out of any individual week. There's so much in those weeks. If there's any mistake I've made in putting the course together, maybe I've given you too much material, too many videos, too much writing, and it's impossible to absorb all of it. So I wouldn't expect that you have to get everything out of a given week before you go to the next. Feel free to go to the next one, but do take your time. That's perfectly fine to do that.
I just have two questions. The first one is about when we meditate, and there are times when all these say that you see your thoughts passing by, but I find that when you do a breathing meditation, or when you do a body scan, when you focus on sound, at all these times you get distracted by thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
But when you actually try to say that you now focus on your thoughts, you find that there are no thoughts. I don't know. How do you recognize the thoughts
So-
passing by?
So
Every-
no,
every-
no. So say again. So when you say when you focus on your thoughts, what your experience is, you're finding no thoughts. Is that what you're saying?
Experience of actually seeing those thoughts passing
Mhm.
by. Then there are no thoughts. But you know that when you're distracted and you come back, there have been these thoughts. Whether it's on your breath, you know that you're being carried away by thoughts, you
Yeah.
recognize it, you come back. But suppose you say that you want to see your thoughts pass by, then you don't see them. That's been one of my experiences.
So what you're talking about really is a quite advanced practice to actually see your thoughts while they're happening. Because usually what happens is what you're describing, for myself too, when you have a thought that has some pull on it, you're not having an awareness of having a thought. You're just in it, right?
Yes.
And you try to focus on the thought. It's kind of gone there.
It's not there. It's not there.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's normal and natural. So don't worry about that. So when you try to bring your attention to it, the thought may just have stopped. You caught me, so it goes away. And if you're able to, if it's a breath meditation, you're able to go back to breath, then that's a moment of congratulations. I don't think you should expect that when you're having a thought, you can be aware of yourself having the thought and observe that process. That's really quite difficult to do because the thoughts are a vehicle for taking you somewhere else, right? And it's like shining a flashlight in a dark room. You can't see the darkness. You just see the light. So just congratulate yourself that you wake up at those times. Don't expect for you to be able to follow the thoughts in a conscious way. That's just how thoughts happen. They take you away, and then you can come back to breath or whatever it is, and you may have another thought. You can wait. So the places where you can be conscious of the thoughts, almost never at the beginning, because they kind of take you away. Then you notice you're gone. But if you can be aware of that they have taken you someplace, that is you being aware of your thoughts. To expect that you can have a series of thoughts and watch yourself having the thoughts, that's very difficult to do because it's kind of putting yourself in two places. So I wouldn't try to make that happen, but just recognize that you're describing something that happens more than a couple of times, right? You just say, you notice you haven't thought, and then you can't get back to it, right? It's just kind of gone then.
Yes.
That's great. So congratulations. That gives you space to come back to breathing or whatever it was.
Yes.
And it's not that you haven't noticed the thought, you have, right? You know what kind of thought took you there, but you don't have to analyze it or think about it. Just that process alone of having had that side trip, maybe it's you're worried about something in a relationship or with work, you notice that that's happened. You don't have to sort that all out. You don't have to follow the thought. You can just, at some level, that is registered as being important. And you will come back to it when you have time or when there's space to come back to it, or you will find yourself responding to it in a way that helps you negotiate whatever that difficulty is. And that having had taken that side trip, it gives you a little bit of information. One, that it's important, and two, that it's to be considered, but you don't have to consider it consciously and analytically. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yes, it does.
So it sounds like you're doing great. I think you're ready to go into the next week, wherever you are now.
Sure. Thank you.
So what we
So
do say is never try to do it faster than a week, because it takes at least that long for some of the things to sink in. So we say do at least 6 practices before you go on to the next week. So if you've done that and you got a sense of what that week was about, you're okay to go to the next. You don't have to study it and feel like you've understood everything about it, because you'll never get there. I don't understand everything about every week. Whenever I go back and look at something that I haven't seen for a while, I say, oh, I didn't realize that was there. I might have a new realization. So there's a lot of material there take your time, but don't make yourself make a PhD thesis project out of every week.
Thank you. I had just one more question.
Sure.
I see, I don't see anything there for children or young adults.
Right. There isn't. It's really designed for us adults. If you go to on the resources page, maybe I can just bring you there quickly so I can show you. There are a lot of good resources, but let me find that. You can see Jack here. On resources and on either books, you'll find a whole bunch of books here.
Yes.
And underneath all of this is a whole set of books about mindfulness in children. There's some
Okay.
really good resources there for
Thank you. Thank
yeah,
you.
because it is. So find the books, resources and books, and find that. You'll find that there. And there's also, I think we have.
So,
even-
so I think I have seen that sitting still like a frog.
Yeah, there, and also under. I'm not sure where else we have something, but there for sure. And there's really good resource. Teaching mindfulness to working with mindfulness in children is very different in the sense that you're not going to take a 10-year-old and say, now sit down and be quiet for 30 minutes and do a meditation. It needs to be different. It needs to be introduced to it differently than we would for adults. So it really isn't. Unfortunately, it's not suitable for all ages. It's not that somebody younger can't look at it, but they're not likely to stay with it because it's not a good way to introduce them. But those books have some good references, and there was someplace else too that has information about mindfulness in children. I think. I'm looking on my own computer here. So if you go, I'll do another quick screen share so you can see this. So this page is, if you go to Going Deeper and to teacher training, there's more about teaching mindfulness to children there near the bottom. But there's some cross-referencing there. Some things that are here are also there in the books. But I would look to those two places.
Thank you.
For hints. But the books are probably a good place to start. Are you thinking about your own children?
Yes, my own children, and I am also an educator, so I come in contact with young adults.
Yeah. So take a look at some of those books. There's some good resources there specifically about teaching mindfulness, and you'll discover when you look at them, it may not be that different than what some of the things you're already doing, because you're not going to say, now close your eyes and meditate. You're going to have them just be aware of their senses, be aware of their body in certain ways, and you can do that in the context in which you're already doing it. I think you'll find some good resources there.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
When I was a science teacher, I taught students in grades 5 through 12, and we had like 4 minutes between classes, and every class was a different one. And so I would spend that 4 minutes in a breathing meditation. And the kids quite quickly learned that it was quiet, and they were, some of them would actually just sit down and you'd see them take nice breaths. And it wasn't like I was teaching meditation, but they would see me breathing. They would just join in breathing. And it's like, are you ready to start when the bell would ring? You know, and it would be a little taste of a meditation, but it would give me a nice chance to switch my brain from biology to chemistry or whatever the next class was.
And kids, in some ways, kids are natural meditators in this sense. They are more mindful than you or I are usually in terms of what their experience is at that moment.
Yes.
And so you can channel that. So I look at those books, and Keith's input is really good too. So your students are lucky and your kids are lucky to have you thinking about that and thinking about how to make it relevant and useful for them. It's not about sitting cross-legged in meditation. It's about paying attention.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. So I see no other hands up. And if not, we'll just end. So everything has to come to an end sooner or later. It's been lovely being with you. And as I said, we'll probably do another one of these in January. And we'll just see you next time.